at what point in creating a story do you decide what the end is going to be? How long did it take you to figure out what would happen with Walter White or Jimmy McGill? And do you know what the ending to this series is going to be?
Good question.
That's a good question. So,
God bless you, man. I could talk to you all day, every day. Thank you.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Mr. Gilligan, this is the honor of a lifetime, sir. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Jake. I appreciate it. How's the weather there? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's gorgeous, man.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we got lots to talk about, man. You can add on more time, and they love when you do that. I'm going to start out with a big question. I want to start out by asking really about the ending to stories. At what point in creating a story do you decide what the end is going to be? How long did it take you to figure out what would happen with Walter White or Jimmy McGill? And do you know what the ending to this series is going to be?
Good question. It took pretty much 6 full years to figure out the ending to Walter White. And I love that about it. I tend to go into these shows not knowing the ending. Having said that, with Pluribus, my writers and I, we have a little more of an idea where we think Pluribus could end now than certainly we did on Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. But I like the uncertainty. And with Pluribus, some of the ideas we think we have now, we will jettison them in a Chicago minute. If we'll jettison the good ideas for a better idea if and when it comes along. But I like coming up with these stories organically, which means step by step. It's almost like a picture being in a cave with a match, and you light a match and you only see 2 inches in front of you. And you have enough matches and enough time, you eventually explore the totality of the cave, but you don't see it all in one glance. You don't see it all in one fell swoop. And that's how we approach this stuff. And it takes us a while. Like with Breaking Bad, it took us 6 years. I don't know how many seasons we'll want or need for Pluribus, but I expect it'll be the same kind of a deal.
You've always known the perfect place to end these stories. A nerdy question, if you don't mind, because the moment you took us back to Albuquerque, obviously I'm having flashbacks to Kim and to Jesse and to Walter and to Jimmy. There are storytellers, whether it be Stephen King or Tarantino or Kevin Smith, all their stories exist in one universe. Out there somewhere is Kim, is Jimmy, is Jesse? Are they a part of the hive?
That's that's up to the viewer. It's funny. A lot of people are going to ask why Albuquerque. There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a Breaking Bad / Better Call Saul connection. The simple answer of shooting it again in Albuquerque on Pluribus is that I love my crew and I wanted to keep them working. It actually made me nervous, the idea of yet again shooting in Albuquerque in terms of story, because I thought this is just going to confuse people. They're going to think Carol Sturka, is she Kim Wexler's long lost identical twin? Like, no.
But she does have a line about a heroin dealer, and I was like,
She does. People are going to find connections, some great ones, probably quite a few of them we didn't even intend, but. I just love my crew so much in Albuquerque that I just wanted to keep them working, and I wanted to keep working with them. But it's really no deeper than that, the reason that we're shooting there.
Understood. This pilot, I'm going to be honest with you, it is one of the best pilots I've ever seen. It honestly, it's as good as when Walter White was standing in his underwear in the middle of the desert, 20 years ago, Jesus. I'd love to talk about the creative journey between just coming up with that core idea to writing the pilot and fleshing out that idea into a plot. Because it's one thing to think, oh, this, a chemistry teacher becomes a meth dealer. Like, that's a cool idea. It's a completely different thing to come up with a plot. Same thing with this story. Is there any similarity to how it happened with Breaking Bad compared to how it happened here? Is there any commonality?
Yeah, well, the commonality is I work slower than glaciers melt. It takes me forever to come up with these things. It was about 8 or 9 years ago that I started pondering what became Pluribus, and it started with just a random thought about a guy to whom everyone is very nice, a normal guy, not particularly interesting guy, who everybody treats with great respect and love, and they'll do anything for them. That transformed over the weeks and months and years into a story about a woman played by Rhea Seehorn. And the reason I changed it to a woman is I wanted to work again with Rhea Seehorn once Better Call Saul ended. So that's where that part came from. But it's like a stalactite, just the water drips and it forms the stalactite gets a little longer, a little more fleshed out, but it takes forever. And that's how these things come to be. You have an idea about a guy who everybody is nice to, and then you say to yourself, why is that? And then you say, well, it's got to be a science fiction reason. And then you come up with a message from space and blah, blah, blah. And Breaking Bad was similar in that, I was intrigued by a guy. Why would a guy do such terrible things if he's a good guy? Well, because he's trying to do a good thing. He's trying to leave money to his family. You kind of build little baby steps, little bits and pieces, and they, kind of like a jigsaw puzzle too. How does this piece fit? Well, maybe it doesn't. You throw that one out, but this one fits. It just takes forever. It takes friggin' forever.
Worth the wait, sir. Always, always, always worth the wait. If you can't tell, I've got 10,000 more questions. I've got to tell you, just really, you are responsible for some of my all-time, some of the greatest moments I've ever seen put to film, some of the best writing, some of the best direction. You've pulled some of the best performances out of some of our best actors. Because of you, I have experienced some of the greatest pieces of storytelling in the history of mankind. And I just want to say thank you, man. I've never gotten to meet you before, so this is a real honor for me.
God bless you, man. I could talk to you all day, every day. Thank you. I wish we had more time.
Next time, season 2, baby. Let's do it.
All right, sounds good. We'll do it.
Miss Seehorn, I freaking love this show. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you.
Hi, Jake. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's awesome.
I gotta tell you, I've never related more to a character than when Carol yells out, "What the fuck is happening?" Like, I felt like you were speaking for us. So thank you for that. I am really curious about your experience of receiving answers to questions. Like, as an audience, we have to watch weekly if we want our questions answered. Are you allowed to go to Vince and basically have things spoiled because you want answers, or do you get your answers script by script, similar to how we get them episode by episode?
That's a good question. So we do get our scripts one at a time, except in this circumstance, and I don't mean you get them seconds before you're performing them. Clearly, I have to prep them, but you do get them. They're staggered as I'm shooting. About halfway through shooting one, I'm getting the next one. On this, because of the very unfortunate that we had the strikes, they had 3 already backed up in the can, and we weren't going to shooting it, so I got 3, and I was really thankful for it. It just meant technically so I got off book, meaning like learning all the lines, not nailing down performance. I wanted to find that with Vince, but I got off book for 3 full scripts before we went, and it gave me some breathing room for prep when 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because you're constantly behind and trying to play catch up. But that being said, mostly answers that I'm feeling like as a fan story wise of like, oh my God, what happens? Which I always have. There's a fan part of me when I'm reading his scripts of like as though I was watching it. And so that part of me, like, I want to ask, but I won't ask because
So you don't know the ending.
I don't know the ending.
When I say ending, I mean like ending.
Oh God, no. No. I don't even know. I have no idea. I don't even know how the first episode of season 2 would start. Not a clue. And by the way, I get the scripts and I'm like, what? which is so much fun. And then there's like technical questions. My RAM space was so full with what I was being asked to do that was blissfully challenging. That stuff like when people were asking me, what about the science and like why she's immune to the virus and stuff. And I was like, anytime I was allowed to check off a box of like, Carol wouldn't know, I would, because I didn't want just like, I'm playing someone.
Not my problem.
Yeah, playing someone who has no idea what's happening. Let's just keep it that way.
Story of my life.
Yes, I'm good at playing that. I'm good at playing I don't know what's happening. But then other times I would ask him, mostly I would ask questions about like tonally, like finding this really slippery tone that's really hard to pull off. And Vince does, where you can change from psychologically dark drama to hilariously laugh out funny in the same scene and back and forth. And so sometimes we'd talk about how much are we hanging on to the sadness of a moment that happened over here,
Mhm.
and where are we going, even possibly in the next episode? And I wouldn't ask for specifics, but just so I can help chart the roller coaster ride we're supposed to take.
There's a moment really quick where you have this very dramatic moment at a table, I think in episode 2, and then you walk away and then you fall down. And I don't know why I found it just the funniest thing. I don't know. Really quick, they're going to pull me out of here. The fact that Vince brings us back to Albuquerque obviously is giving me flashbacks to Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Sure.
And it always kind of makes me wonder, obviously there are a lot of storytellers out there, filmmakers and TV showrunners, for whom all of their stories exist in the same universe. And it's a ridiculous question, but has Vince ever talked about any of his shows? Like obviously Saul and Breaking Bad do, but like, do his story, like is Kim somewhere? Is Jimmy somewhere out there? Is Jesse somewhere out there with just the biggest smile on their face and things are working out really well for him right now?
What, they would be part of the others now? They would just be
exactly right.
No, he has not indicated that at all. I think he knew there would be a little danger to putting in Albuquerque, that it would be very hard, and putting me in it, to not draw those comparisons. But I think he also wouldn't want to sully or mock or even use as a gimmick having those people in this. But yeah, he just honestly he loves Albuquerque.
You make a reference to a heroin dealer, and I was like, oh my God.
I didn't even think of that. Listen, there are some very subtle Easter eggs for fans that are just about the way Vince writes and where he's coming from. And even something like that he probably was hoping somebody was amused by, I'm sure. But anything that's literal, probably not.
Fair enough. Miss Seehorn, if you can't tell, I'm such a fan of yours. I'm such a fan of this show and just this everything that you guys do, especially when you collaborate with Vince. It's just such a gift. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This was a pleasure. Appreciate you.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.